Hello and welcome to episode 52 of the Dynamo Football Book Club. My name's Al Bond and I'm joined by John Coughlin. Johnny, you're as confident as Troy Parrott taking a penalty for his Dutch team.
Okay, yeah. Well, hopefully today is more of a success for me than it was for Troy the other day.
Yeah, this week we are doing Big Sam Allardyce's autobiography.
Oh, Brown's lost it here to Ricketts, and Ricketts might win it. He's given Bolton the lead from behind at Old Trafford. We're 7 minutes shy of the Premiership result of the season to date.
What did you know about Sam Allardyce before we started this book?
Big Sam. I guess I only know him as a manager. I don't go back to his footballing days as such. Did you expect to hear the expression? This is a quote. These are 3 words. Did you expect? If I'd asked you, would you hear these words or read these words? I heard them now. You probably read them. But this quote: "Kids these days." Would you would you have expected to have heard that expression in this book?
Yes, I would, Johnny. I would expect to hear that expression in this book. And I would expect to hear a lot of other statements in this book, and I wasn't disappointed with any of them. There's not a surprise in here, is there, Johnny? Not one single surprise. Sam Allardyce is exactly who you think he is.
I think this is, and by the way, I didn't dislike this book, and I didn't like Sam Allardyce, but I think this might be the most boastful book that we've read.
Both. He's not short of self confidence, is he?
He's
Not.
insanely boastful, and is it arrogance? But it's more like boastful. Like he's anytime he has done anything, he wants you to know about it. Any achievement, people like that do get ahead. If you're going to do something, make sure everybody knows about it. You can see how Allardyce did get ahead. He's a confident man, Sam, isn't he?
Well, he is a confident man, Johnny, and this book was written in 2015, so it precedes the England job, the pint of wine, the 67 days, and his tenure at Leeds United. And it would have been nice to have had those in the book to see him fucking eat a bit of humble pie, eh? Like, just to see him brought back down to earth with a bump. I mean, you say you didn't dislike him. I certainly didn't like him at that point.
Well, the narrator of the audiobook had one of those kind of Northern English accents, which I think will always soften my view of someone. Those
But,
accents.
well, let's just start here, right? The two most northern men in English football are Sam Allardyce and Sean Dyche, right? They're so fucking northern. Neither of them are northern. Like, Sam Allardyce is from fucking West Midlands. He's from Dudley. How is he from Dudley? Why is he so northern? He's like walking around with a whip hit and like a flat cap. He's so northern. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
You said
on that
it doesn't surprise me you had a northern man because it's all part of a lie, isn't it? You should have had a fucking Lenny Henry like reading out his autobiography.
But the flat cap thing there, the theme song to this, what was it? What's that song from? Like it's like Edgar or something like that. The music from the Hovis had. Do you remember? You know them?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think it's the planets. It's Holst actually. Oh,
But my God, this the way he's talking in this, it's like the book was set in the 1950s, 60s, and then he was like, and then he would say something, and then Stuart Pearce joined the team. Like, wait, what? He's about 20 years out of check with the actual timeline of the book, and he played his peers. You know, we did Pierce's book. Pierce was doing forward rows, listening to punk music. It just seems like he is from a different time, Allardyce.
yeah, he does, and he doesn't like the current. It's the time that he preferred as well. Like, it's
Well, he
modern world.
is he a reform reform Brexity guy? Because he commits a whole chapter at the end of the book to what's wrong with the country these days.
I went into hospital, and I could have punched the doctor. So don't punch the doctor. He's just doing his job. Johnny, if he is not a reform voter, I'm a monkey's uncle, mate. Of course he is. Like, of course he is.
Drinking the Spanish water though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is drinking the Spanish water. The book. Oh, goodness. The book starts.
Let's just jump into it from the very start. Go on.
We join Big Sam in his villa in Spain, and he's fretting about the whereabouts of a dragonfly. He's not sure what sex the dragonfly is. He doesn't know how to tell, and he pursues this dragonfly around the garden and worries when it's not there. It's a fairly unhinged start to the book.
Yeah, actually, I've forgotten about that, and I hadn't made note of it. It's a quirky start, I suppose.
I don't worry about football management now. I just worry about the whereabouts of the dragonfly in my garden. What? Okie dokie. I think he's trying to show like how relaxed he is that he doesn't have a job in football. I don't need one. You don't want to give me a job? Good. I don't want one because I've got to worry about my pet dragonfly.
Well, that's not how he finishes the book, though, is it? I'd like to manage England. I would work in the Middle East. I think I could go to the MLS. Yeah, it's not how he finishes the book. He's talked himself around to wanting a job by the end of the book.
Oh, he'd love a job in the Middle East, wouldn't he? He'd love a job in the Middle East. There's a bit in the book where he's like looking for a job in Dubai, and like his current team won't release him without like some compensation. He's like, just do the right thing. Ask yourself, what have I done for you? Do the right thing. Let me go out to Dubai and make millions of pounds, please. Do the right thing. They wouldn't do the right thing. And then David O'Leary got the job. That's what happened to David O'Leary. I never knew, like, when
Yeah, me neither. But he loves that money, Sam, doesn't he?
fucking loves a pound note, doesn't he? He absolutely loves one.
That's
Tell you what
not a
else it-
surprise. That's not a surprise.
I also think that his wife Lynn loves a pound note as well.
Mhm.
And this book's just funny all the way through because he keeps referring to Lynn, and I just hear Partridge's assistant all the time. Lynn, you're sacked for being disloyal to Sam Allardyce.
Then at the end, Lynn actually has a chapter of her own, and like, if anyone is more boastful about Sam Allardyce than Allardyce, it's his wife Lynn, because that's why she's wheeled in to just say, yeah, everything that Sam said in the book. There were certain things that I know he was boastful, but there were certain things that he wasn't willing to be boastful about, and that's where I come in. Lynn is
Yeah,
like his hype. Lynn is like his hype man, his Flavor Flav at the end of the book. You know.
I mean, she is. It's absolutely outrageous. Like, Lynn, will you write a chapter about how great I am? You believe I will, Sam. You better be. My Sam is the greatest man in the world. They met at a club called Playmates. Ooh. Playmates in Bolton. Ooh.
Do you remember you said that it's a real trope, footballers not knowing not marrying women who aren't into football. They all say that, you know. But in this case, he didn't even tell her. Didn't even tell her that he was a footballer. That's how down there Sam was, as he was in the reserves of the Bolton team.
Yeah, that is also another trope, though, isn't it? Footballers not telling their wives they're football. I wanted to love her for me, not being in the Bolton reserves. Will she?
I waited 25 minutes and then I.
It was actually quite loud in the nightclub, so she couldn't really hear what I was saying. But yeah, I held off.
Yeah.
Oh, what else is that? There is an introduction to this book from Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest endorsement any like late 90s manager can get, right? If you get an endorsement from Fergie, it seems like he doesn't really know who the fuck Big Sam Allardyce does. Oh, good old Big Man Brute. That's not his nickname. Big Man Brute. I mean, it's a good one. It's called Big Sam. Who am I writing a foreword for? The Big Man Brute. Okay, Big Man Brute. And at the end of a foreword, it just says, "Good luck, Sam." Like he's writing a card for an office junior or something who's going off to pastures news. Good luck, Sam. Okay, great.
Yeah, it is funny how he refers to Ferguson to kind of burnish, any kind of claim he makes or whatever. He does that. He does that quite regularly. But okay, who would you say is the person who he hates most in football? It's not a big surprise, but it was fun that he really stuck to it all through the book.
Well, I've literally got a list of things here that Big Sam doesn't like, so I'm going to read them. All right, I'm going to say the person he dislikes most. Ooh, I mean, there's a list. Wenger.
Yes.
Okay, good. I could have put in Benitez there, Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
Steve Keane, we'll get on to him.
Yeah,
Referee.
Weasel. Weasel.
Sleeping, doesn't like that. Ken-
Sorry, on sleeping. What a waste of your life. I prefer the telly, I do. I love I love the soaps. EastEnders in Coronation Street and even Brookside. It's like, well, hold on. If sleeping is a waste of time, why are you two watching bloody Brookside, buddy?
but no, that's a bit unfair because he also does like some culture, like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. When you've lived your dreams like I have, it's good to see other people living their dreams. You just like shit telly, Sam. You just like shit. You don't like anything good at all. Where would you prefer to go on holiday? Would you like a weekend in Venice, a weekend in Florence, or a weekend in? Take me to Dubai. Get me to Dubai. Quick, smart, like zero culture. Brilliant. Yeah, this is a man with no hinterland. No hinterland at all. There's nothing else in Big Sam's life.
Well, he likes drinking and smoking.
Yeah, but he loves smoking. He's always in. Lynn gets that in as well. Like, I must confess, I'm a smoker. I love a fag. Like, she's yeah, you all talk. I can believe it. He looks like a fag, man. Here's a quote. I think I said this 2 years ago. It's not my own, but Big Sam is someone you wouldn't want to follow into a bathroom. That's it.
Oh, the cubicle. Just give that a minute. Yeah.
I'm not going in there in case someone goes in after me and and blames me for it. Like, that was Sam Allardyce. I just took a piss. Like, no, nothing to do with me. Yeah, another little thing. So this might explain his cultural illiteracy. Is he's actually illiterate? He really can't read or write, as he claims right from the get-go.
He's got very severe dyslexia. And he said all throughout school, he got such hassle from teachers, hated school as a result, as I'm sure he must have done. But I see this thing about Sam, I think he does have, there is interesting elements to Sam. He says as a result of this, huge challenge, disability, he developed other skills. And he reckons he's an extremely good listener. He's got a really good memory and all these things. Well, of course, he's quite boastful.
Yeah, he's arrogant.
This is the thing again about Sam. He's a bit of a contradiction because Sam's whole thing was that he was an innovator before everyone else. He went to play for the Rowdies in Tampa Bay, where the fans are called the Fannies, which is kind of fun. He went over, played for the Fannies, and he saw that America was light years ahead in terms of sports science, in terms of analytics, and in terms of data. Obviously, not to the extent it has become since. And he took a lot of those things and he brought them back to England and he used them when he got coaching roles and managerial roles, starting Blackpool, Notts County, whatever. And then he brought it up to Bolton. So he was this great innovator. But it's funny when people are like that, and he's an innovator to a point, and then he's the absolute opposite of that, a total Luddite when it suits him to be. It's very funny. It's such a contradiction, really.
Because he knows what he likes what he knows, right? So he's seen this thing. In the late 70s, he went off to play for Tampa Bay, and he lived in an apartment complex with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers players. So yeah, he was exposed to all this. And that's it. So he learned that much, right? So he's like, I've learned this and I'm going to implement this. But if anyone subsequently adds anything into this information, I think he sort of rejects it. He'll take it because he saw it firsthand and he feels it. But then, like, if a foreign manager came in, God fucking curse them. Someone like some charlatan like Pep Guardiola comes in and goes, this is also useful. He'd be like, bullshit. All right. So he had a childhood, right? That's good enough.
But his childhood is in black and white, man. His childhood is, walking home, long rainy days from school, corporate punishment. Unsurprisingly, Sam thinks wasn't all that bad.
No, sure. Yeah, he's very much scrumping for apples. Yeah, playing conkers. It was a better time. Better time to be alive.
He was literally scrumping for apples, wasn't he?
Yep, yeah, he was. He was all the cliches of those gone days of the English idyll. Yeah, so there's not much interest. He doesn't really talk about his folks much. God bless him for that.
He talks about his dad was kind of a distant kind of a grumpy kind of man, and it was very much a kind of traditional um, household. And I think he was sympathetic towards the burden that his mother carried as a result. And his dad was a boozer, right? His dad was a cop and from Scotland.
Yes. Sorry. I don't remember anything about his childhood. I just wrote he had a childhood. Good enough? Question mark.
It's
Uh,
funny. It's hard to picture a child Sam Allardyce, isn't it?
well, there are pictures in the book, Johnny. That's one of the benefits I've got of reading the book. There's pictures of young Sam. He does look like a little baby Sam Allardyce. You just think that's going to sprout into a big toilet fucking exploding man like one day.
The big brute.
Yeah, big man brute. So yeah, so he does that. Yeah, plays for Bolton Youths. He's good, kind of good. He's not great.
And
Doesn't
on
make
this,
much money.
yeah, and on this, if you would, he a good third of the book is about his playing career. But if he'd only been a player, this book wouldn't exist. So he could have kind of skipped that.
Yeah, because there's nothing of significance, right, in his playing days. He meets a few people, but yeah, you'd have to be a big Sam Allardyce fan to be interested to know what he did as a player.
Yeah, and
And
well, I here's a note I made. Johnny Giles, because he said he was the dirtiest footballer in England, which I quite enjoyed.
I know he says he's the dirtiest footballer in England, but you ask that to Mick fucking Harford. Mick Harford, he elbowed in the head. Mick Harford, who's like famously the hardest man in football. I think that's why he put this story in, right? It's like, oh, the hardest man in football, Mick Harford. Put him in hospital for 4 days. Mick Harford had 70 stitches in his face after an elbow from Sam. Fucking hell. You could see his teeth through his lip. Sam says with great pride.
Yeah. And to be fair to Mick, he never really held it against me. I bet he was absolutely fucking seething, Sam.
It's just a little bit.
But
But
that's
yeah,
what
I
he
mean, it
says,
was.
isn't it? Back in those days, a centre forward would knock your teeth out of your head, but he'd help you look for them after the final whistle.
No, yeah, we were all friends in the clubhouse afterwards. Better days, better days.
Absolutely. He did say that he would prefer, and I think you've said this, he would prefer to be spat on than to have someone try to break his legs.
But it just goes without saying. Of course, if I've ever been spat on with someone kicking me in the leg, it's wipe it off. Fucking get over it.
Yeah, well, he did say he doesn't like spitting, but he would prefer it.
Being spat on is preferable to being punched, and it always is, and it always is. Surely, that just come on, people.
Yeah, I've got small children and I have been headbutted and spat on. And I prefer the spitting. But I don't love it.
I love it. No, but it's the worst, isn't it? When your kid unintentionally hurts you, like, I mean, like, Luna's like accidentally fucking headbutting me in the schnoz sometimes. Just like, oh, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Like,
My little one comes into our bed at night time, and the other night I was asleep and she boxed me in the eye. I was I was woken up by a box in the eye. Not very nice.
yeah, you just got a heavy instinct in your body. Like, I'll show you a thing or two, small child.
But
All
yeah,
right.
okay. So his playing career, he played for Sunderland. He later says that he wishes. So he compares himself to Steve Bruce, who played for Gillingham and then Norwich, and then United. He played 400 times for Norwich before United came calling, and he wonders at one point wistfully had he went. He made a mistake in his career. He feels he went to Sunderland at a bad time and it didn't work out for him, and he wonders had he gone to another team. I can't remember who was in for him. Maybe things would have been different because he feels like Steve Bruce grew into that role, and he's kind of, I guess, implying that maybe that's possible for all of us.
Yeah, if only, if only I'd been a better player, I would have been a better player, but I wasn't. Ah.
But
Big fan of Steve Bruce, though, any big fan. Love Steve Bruce.
Bruce came up in a previous book. Was it? You know, who it was. It was Neil Warnock, because he hates Bruce because Bruce was able to just get jobs anytime he wanted. I think it was Warnock, but Allardyce, Bruce, I guess they're all part of this kind of inner circle, this Ferguson circle, maybe, because he drinks a lot with Brian Robson, and that's who introduced him to Bruce. But yeah,
I think a little bit less of Steve Bruce because he is so close to Sam Allardyce. I don't. I genuinely do. I think less. I've always thought Steve Bruce seemed quite an amicable character. Like, yeah, I'll take up that management position after I've been to watch England play for Test series. It's like good for you. But now he's a friend of Allardyce. I think maybe not so much.
Yeah, I liked them ever since he did that captain's log, that behind the scenes documentary of Manchester United. We should watch that sometime now because it's a fun thing. It was
Oh,
fun back in the day.
I'd absolutely do that, Johnny. Yeah, just
So
for record, I'd rather hang out with Warnock than Allardyce.
mm, well, I guess they're both arrogant individuals, and maybe that is what you need to succeed in this world.
Having said that, though, if you're hanging around with Warnock, you probably hang around on a tractor in Devon or something. Whereas if you hang around with Allardyce, you're probably in some fucking sexy hotel in Dubai.
Drink
So
loads of wine. He does.
living life on his terms.
Another thing that comes up a lot in this book, something bad happens, he gets sacked. And then such and such a person invited me to his villa in Barbados or to their he's a host and then they flew us to the Costa Brava or whatever it is. He's always throwing those things in. It's funny.
Oh, he's so venal. There's one bit where he goes, I was with my good friend Keith Pinner, who works in the events organisation, and get your tickets to anything you need. That's why he's your good friend, isn't it, Sam? Is what he can do for you.
And another football trope, by the way, is they talk about the good causes that they're involved in, you know. But invariably, their contribution to these good causes is, oh, I managed the England team and a celebrity England and football combination against the rest of the world against Jose Mourinho or whatever, and then we went to a dinner which raised 500,000 for such and such a charity, with food from 4 Michelin star chefs. It's like, you are such a good man, Sam. This kind of boasting about helping causes by just doing the most lavish, the most lavish stuff is so insane.
Yeah, as I was sucking down my oysters and my duck à l'orange, I was thinking about all the good deeds I was doing for kids. I'll tell you what, you want a charity match he would get involved in, like have a charity match for getting Christmas to be called Christmas again. He'd be like, I'll donate £5 million. What's happened to this country? Can't even happy festive season. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And just for charity match, right? He talks about that a lot. Robbie Williams has played, and Jonathan Wilkes, his friend. And Jonathan Wilkes did this. I was banging on about Jonathan fucking Wilkes like he's the most important person in the world. I just thought it was weird. Like, I'm
Who's
proud to
Jonathan
call
Wilkes?
Jonathan Wilkes my friend. He was like Robbie Williams' mate. That's what he was. He just sort of knocked around with Robbie Williams all the time. I'm not sure what he did really.
He played for Bolton. He played for Sunderland. He had a reputation as being a big rough son of a gun. He went to play in America, and that was kind of it for him, really. And then he became manager initially at, well, he got into coaching, right? But he was kind of an assistant. He was with Blackpool, was it?
Yeah, something like, well, that came later, right? So first of all, it's Limerick, yeah? He goes to Limerick.
Well, just
Oh,
that was, he'd already been an assistant and he'd been in academies and stuff and as a coach. But then he went to Limerick, and I can't remember who it was said this, but you know, Sean Connery famously is he's a bit one dimensional with the accents, you know. So in The Untouchables, he plays, you know, that film
an
with Kevin
Irish,
Costner,
yeah, no, an
and he
Irishman.
plays
Of course they do.
and he plays an Irishman, and how he plays an Irishman is just he just talks in his normal accent, and at the end of every sentence he says, "Jesus." But literally in this book, this guy, Father, whatever his name is, from Limerick FC, calls him up and he's like, "Be Jesus, Sam, we need a manager." So come on, man. And I swear to God, in the audiobook, your man is doing the voice. And like Sam Allardyce says at the end of the book that when he's complaining, he's like, when I played, we had Micks and Taffs and Jocks, and that's what we called them, and nobody complained. And you know what? He's right. Like at the end of the day, does anyone really fucking give a shit? But it is just, it's not that it's insulting. It's just kind of lame.
Mick's a funny one, isn't it?
I have been called a Mick. I studied in America for a year, and a fella used to call me Mick. But it was 20 years ago, and I did think it was funny. I never took any It was never offensive, no. I'm sure if I was working in a construction site in London or something and passing bankers were calling me a fucking Mick, I might feel differently about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it depends. I get called just English a lot now, or English. I don't care, I
Yep.
suppose.
Johnny Irish was my nickname.
All right, so he's off to yeah.
Oh
He's
wait,
off to,
sorry, and Al, sorry, I had two nicknames, Johnny Irish and guess what my name was in America. We talked about nicknames before, and I didn't think of this. What would an American person call an Irish person? I'm going to give you one
Paddy.
clue.
Paddy.
Paddy make breakfast cereal.
Oh, Lucky Charms.
Yep, that was my nickname, Lucky Charms.
That's pretty good, though, right? I'll take
Not
that.
bad. It's not.
You gotta be lucky or charm. I mean, either way, you're winning. Like, yeah, lucky.
Hey, Lucky Charms. Yep.
All right then. All right, so Ireland. Have you got anything else to say about Ireland? He like flew out on a Thursday, fucked off home on a Sunday. When he talks about it like it was a big thing, he didn't really commit to it that much.
No, and
It's
like
over in like 18 months.
Limerick were in the second division, and he brought them up, and then he realised, talking to whoever it was in England, that nobody knew anything about Irish football, and all of his major achievements were not being recognised. So the club was kind of going under anyway financially, and he decided it was time to sling his hook, as it were, and to go back to England. And he goes back, and then he was caretaker manager of Preston. And Al, I'm wearing a Preston shirt.
Johnny is wearing, listeners, a disgusting Preston shirt. How do you get a Preston shirt? Why?
Well, yeah, this is
Beckham.
quite. Well, actually, this is around the time Beckham was there, and the story I have is quite a nice story, and it's amazing that it still fits. It just goes to show how big shirts were back in the day. But it was around the time. It would have been the time, I guess, that I'll ask my dad what year we were there, but we were in Portugal one year, and there was a man. His name was Mick Conroy. He was a Scottish footballer, and he was there in our place, and he played for Preston. Like, I met a professional footballer. Okay, he was playing for Preston North End, but it was the most exciting thing that maybe ever happened to me in my life. It was fucking amazing. And at the time, I was whatever, my dad and whatever, and whoever else was at this place. We were on holidays. You know, the way holidays were like. Then you'd go and you'd be in the one place. I guess it's a bit different now. People move around a bit more, but you go and you'd be in this resort for whatever, a couple of weeks. And anyway, my dad was hanging out with this guy, and he was a really nice fella. This guy, Mick Conroy. And I was collecting these little pins of football teams. And I asked him if he would send me a pin. And he did. And he also sent me a shirt. And this is a shirt. So I've always kind of. Yeah.
Class
And then
act, Mick Conroy.
Yeah. My wife's cousin subsequently played for Preston, which is quite nice. Yes. So I've always kept an eye on Preston. But Allardyce was there in 1992. So I think he would have been there at the same time as this guy, Mick Conroy.
Your little connection, just 2 degrees of separation, Kevin Bacon game. You're so close to Allardyce. So close to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, he was at Preston, and then he went to Blackpool, and he was successful at Blackpool. But he got
I
them
mean, he worked
promoted.
for a convicted rapist, right? Owen Oyston, who subsequently went on to absolutely drag that club through the mud and was then convicted. Just an awful, awful man, like in every way, is my understanding.
He says it was a funny way of putting this. He was the wealthiest man in England to be convicted of whatever it was, sex with a ringer at the time. So it's a funny way of looking at it. But it does kind of speak to how Allardyce sees the world, I think.
Then he goes to Notts County, right?
So would he have been on your radar then, when you were a younger man? Would he have registered with you at this time in your life?
Yes, he would. I was so much more familiar with lower league football back in the day because I think I just read the newspapers, right? I read the newspapers on a Sunday and I would read that sports section front to back. When I was like 13, 14, I could tell you like where people were in the second division. I knew it. I don't now.
Well, other than Mick Conroy, I couldn't have told you.
No.
But he's a fan of Nottingham. He paints a nice picture of the two stadiums on either side of the Trent River.
I did. I highlighted that bit, but then I didn't transcribe it to my notes because it's like too self-celebratory. Like, there's no town like Nottingham. No, there's not.
Yeah, so he's there, and I think in both of these situations, Blackpool and Notts County, by his own account, again, this is Sam Allardyce's account. He did quite well, but he was kind of spurned by both of them, wasn't he?
Well, he has this weird thing in his contract as a manager where I don't know how normal this is, but he talks about it a couple of times. He gets a percentage of any player sales money. If I was like a supporter of that team, I'm not sure I'm entirely happy with that. Like, oh, look, the manager's just sold our best player and he's made a tidy profit. That doesn't seem right. I
And
would be like,
he signed his son.
he signed his son. He's like, oh, Steve Bruce understands how people are about that, about nepotism. People don't like it, unbelievably. Why shouldn't I sign my son? Yeah, and he talks about this like, Derek Pavis, who was the chairman of Notts County, is famous in Nottingham at least. Oh, he didn't like the little percentage thing. Oh, but he didn't have to sign it. But you didn't have to put it in. He loves a pound note. He just loves a pound note so much.
Yeah, he does. But yeah,
I
like I
think
say, it's all about Bolton, isn't it? And this book suffers from the thing that we've talked about before, where he's talking about game after game after game about ultimately inconsequential football. The Bolton stuff is interesting in the broader sense, but the actual the detail is. Then we went away and got a draw at Tottenham. Okay, nobody remembers that, Sam. Nobody, and nobody
no,
cares.
no, he doesn't. All right, can I read you out a quote? Here's one of his quotes from his time at Bolton. He's calling up Phil Gartside, the Bolton chairman. Hello, Phil. We went on that team bonding session. Well, Andy Todd has beaten Phil Brown to a pulp. He's in hospital and he's going to have his jaw rewired. That's pretty standard for team bonding sessions, right? That's fine. Poor old Phil Brown. Poor old Phil Brown gets beaten to a pulp and spends 4 days in hospital because of Andy Todd. Phil Brown, by the way, whose nickname was Sunbed, but Sam helpfully explains that in fact it's just his natural skin pigmentation.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what Phil told me.
Listen, this is also a quote from the book. So they played against Ipswich, Bolton that is, in the playoff semi-final, and the referee Barry Knight gave Ipswich 3 penalties. This is a quote. I distinctly remember not swearing at referee Barry Knight. You don't really tend to not distinctly remember things that you don't do.
No, that's all a farce, isn't it? He's like, I was in the FA disciplinary panel. They were shaking their heads with embarrassment. Says you, Sam. Says you. I wonder what they say. Oh, they couldn't believe what this referee done to us. Barry Knight.
He went up through the playoffs twice. Second time of asking with Bolton, and then later with West Ham after he joined them when they had been relegated. And he says it's the best experience, more or less, in football. Now, you've come up through the playoffs, Al. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, that was the wonder. Yeah, because it's the best thing to win, isn't it? Because like you win the FA, even if you win the FA Cup or the World Cup, it's like there you go. I've got a trophy now. I'll be able to talk about that trophy. But winning the playoffs, what do you win? You win Man United away. You win fucking Liverpool away. You win all the great big games. You win fame. Like no one had ever heard of Forest until 5 years ago. Now over in America, oh, Nottingham Forest. Love those guys. Not doing so well this year.
It is an amazing event. And it does turn up some cracking games, the playoffs.
The best game of football I've ever seen in my life was Sunderland 4, Charlton 4, Clive Mendonca hat
I remember that. I watched that.
That's the best game of football I've ever seen. It was.
Yeah, no. And there was that the Watford one, was that in the final or the semi-final? Leicester.
Oh, that was the semi-final. That one, like, oh, that was brilliant. That was so, so good. Shame it had to be Troy Deeney. He's a likable enough character, I find, but
So at Bolton, he goes up. They don't have very much money. And he says that, and I think there are elements of this book that were interesting, I thought, because I do think in amongst all of the boasts and just the various arrogant claims, there is interesting stuff, I think. So he sets up this, he goes up They don't have much money. They can't compete with the bigger teams. He explains he's always defending his reputation because he's seen as this long ball merchant, right? And he's saying you can't compete with Arsenal by playing Arsenal's football. You have to play a different type of football or whatever. Fair enough. And they have to do more with less, essentially. But he explains that in the first year, did he say is an 80% chance of you going down in the first year? And he says, and he explains it kind of tapers off in the second year, and he gives the figures. But then by the third year, if you stay up after 3 years, you've got a real chance of establishing yourself as a fixture in the Premier League. And as you said, Forest have done that. And Forest came up by the skin of their teeth. They got in the last day into the playoffs
I'm
in
not
sixth
tempted to
place.
fake this. I'm not tempted to fake this here, Johnny. Yeah, I think we were in sixth place. Yeah, we just snuck in.
Yeah, and so there is something to that because it does seem to happen that the team that comes up through the playoffs is often the team that comes sixth. That does seem to be a thing.
It's 4 minutes, and yeah, it's difficult to explain that, but it does. I mean, that's because they're much of a muchness teams down there, you know, like.
But anyway, he comes up and he sets up this war room. So he's all about his staff, and this is his thing, and this is where he's a great innovator, Sam Allardyce, not the kind of the kids these days, Sam Allardyce. He brings in, he's got physiotherapists, he's got psychotherapists, he's got data analysts. Before this, I had these guys before that. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. But it is interesting. He sets up this team to look at all of, they look at other teams. They have their, as I say, he calls it the war room, where they look at opposition in real detail. And he said they could be there all day. And this was novel and this was new at the time. And it was an incredible success, right? Bolton. And, when he talks about Bolton drawing with Arsenal to stop them from winning the league, I'm a United fan. I distinctly remember that. Bolton really were something at that period, in that period of time.
Well, here's the most Sam Allardyce quote you'll ever hear. I had to pinch myself to believe what I had accomplished in such a short space of time. I can't believe how good I am. Oh, come on. Is this a dream? No, I really am this good. Oh, look at me.
Lynn, tell them. Lynn, tell them.
Yeah, he calls Bolton the Oxford University of Football.
No, that does seem like a stretch.
Here's your Oxford Don. It's Big Sam Allardyce.
Do you know what I enjoyed, Al? He said there was an interesting cadre of players at this time. Your Yorkievs, your Fernando Hierros, your Ivan Campo. By the way, everyone told him not to touch Ivan Campo, but he did, Al. He did. But anyway, he said he went to meet JJ Okocha in Paris. JJ Okocha spoke perfect English. He's from Nigeria, Sam.
I was surprised you lived in France. It's very stupid.
Like, do these people not have editors?
I got to give him this. Why did no one else think of signing World Cup winner Yuri Djorkaeff, famed amazing footballer JJ Okocha, and multiple Champions League winner Fernando Hierro? I got to take my hat off to him there. That was a good idea, Sam. Well done to sign them. Why didn't somebody else do it?
When he was flying high at Bolton, teams like Middlesbrough, Sunderland, obviously Newcastle, Hull, a lot of northern teams in the Premier League at the time, Blackburn, Burnley, although Burnley are in the Premier League now. But that's not the case anymore, is it? Now it would be harder to attract a player of that caliber to a shitty place in the north of England when they could go to any amount of nice places in London and on the south coast, right? Brighton. Oh, yes, I think I'll go to Brighton, Sam. Because Brighton weren't around then, right?
No, I mean, that's what makes these fucking little shitty South Coast B teams so unappealing, right? Because, yeah, it's like, would you like to live in Bournemouth or Sunderland? I mean, who'd you rather play for? You'd rather play for Sunderland, but no question, you'd rather live in Bournemouth. Much, much nicer. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Foreigners just come over and I think I could live in Brighton, which is absolutely delightful, or I could live in Bolton. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But you've got to think of a bigger picture, right? I'd go for the big team. Surely you want to play in the big stadiums, but I get it. You're foreign, you don't know.
But you see there, he talks in this, he manages, when he's at West Ham, he manages Andy Carroll and he manages Ravel Morrison. And he certainly seems to think that Andy Carroll could have been the greatest player of all time had he just tried a little bit harder. And of course, Trevor
I've got a
Morrison.
quote, Johnny. I've got a quote for him. England should build the England team around Andy Carroll because strikers like that are in short supply. No, we fucking shouldn't. He's a never been England manager. Jesus Christ. Shouldn't build any team around Andy Carroll.
He says we've only got Wayne Rooney. Just to your point about, you'd play for the bigger team. It just there's all types in football, isn't there? And there are your RKFs. Your RKF wanted to play regularly and get back into the France team going into the 2002 World Cup. Or maybe
I just can't
afterwards.
believe there was no one else in for him. Like, nobody at all. Like,
Well, because it can't be money because they didn't really seem to have any. And God, he really hates Phil Gardside, doesn't he?
oh, really? Yeah, that's it. Like, I don't think we can afford to be in Europe, Sam. I knew then my heart broke.
I knew then my time was up at Bolton, so I stayed for another 5 years. That was a fun period, and they were like earlier. Of course, Middlesbrough had Janino, Ravanelli. It was after that, and maybe not quite as exciting. But there was a bit of that feel to it. But also, they were really rough.
But they were. I mean, like, they were something new because they had those exercise bikes on the sideline, which was such a great idea. It was such a great idea that nobody does it now. But they're gone, right? They're gone.
Are they gone to the rugby fellas do that, don't they?
Oh, who fucking cares what rugby fellas do? Like, so he is genuinely a fabulous team. He overachieves enormously at Bolton. I mean, they really were a fixture for a spell. What's some amusing stories? He went to see Alex Ferguson, the famed post-match bottle of wine with Fergie that everyone talks about. He brought him a beautiful bottle. When they got into the room, he opened up the case. It's a bottle of Ribena. Sam is so embarrassed. But it was all a funny joke by Fergie. They swapped it out themselves. Look at old Fergie, eh? What a laugh a minute.
Mendy Bullant. It was Edward Mendy, wasn't it? And Bullant, what was his first name? The Turkish player. He said had the most violent fight he'd ever seen at training, which started on the field. They fought their way off the field. They were separated, and I think Mendy was brought into his office, and the other fellow was brought away. And then the other fellow came back in and did a flying kick in the office. Wow. Do you remember when we were in a bar in Phnom Penh and we saw a proper fight between two English lads, two big fellas, and it went on for however long. But this fight sounded like it went on for about 10 minutes. Like fights are fairly fleeting things usually when they happen, and when they go on for a while, it's quite shocking, isn't it?
I just want to reiterate, we saw the best fight in the history of the world, right? Because one was like an ex-rugby league player from Hull. He was a big lad, and the other lad was that lad from New Zealand who was so fucking dumb, but so big and strong. Do you remember him? And them two, and then like went over by the stairs. He's like, is this what's going down the stairs? And it was like a 3-flight. Fucking hell, what's going to happen here? Someone's going to die. It was unbelievable.
But yeah, okay, he's at Bolton. He gets them into Europe. That's kind of the story, isn't it? And I think maybe this book is written because he's trying. It's his CV for the England job. I think is what he's trying to do here. Because the first time round, when what's his face gets it, McLaren gets it. He talks about that a lot at length. He dedicates a lot of the book to that. And so they were going to hire an English manager after Sven. They brought in these fellas. He famously gives the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, printed PowerPoint presentation for everyone because they didn't have PowerPoint facilities. But then they chose Philippe Scolari, but then Scolari chose not to come and McLaren got it. But he talked about that for a long time.
Well, there was a weird resentment there. There was like, he was playing a McLaren team and he said before the game, did you get the job? And Steve McLaren said, oh, I don't know yet. And it turns out he did get the job. And he fucking hates Steve McLaren for that. Like, he knew he had it. He knew. Why didn't he just tell me? It's like, I don't know. Let it go, mate. Let it go. Like, he was probably a bit embarrassed, right? Because he got the job over you.
Yeah. And do you think he resented Moyes for getting the United job? He doesn't say anything, but he thought he was the man for that job, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's the whole Allardyce. This is his. I can't believe we've got this far without mentioning Allardyce, because this is probably the thing he's second most famous for. If my name was Allardyce, I would have had all the top jobs. You wouldn't. You wouldn't, lad. You wouldn't. It's all in your head, mate. When he's had a good opportunities, he's not done great. So stick.
But he says with the Moyes thing, he doesn't criticize. He doesn't. He kind of he wants to sound like he's saying, okay, Moyes deserved the opportunity, and he's not critical because he is ultimately beholden to Ferguson. But I think he's definitely resentful there.
Yeah, no question at all. Yeah, he just feels he didn't get what he. I mean, imagine how resentful he is now, Johnny. Imagine how resentful he is now when he got the England job. He had it in his hands and he fucked it up because he's such a venal fucker. Whoa, he must be furious.
Yeah, sitting drinking his wine, watching X Factor. He must be as cross. But
Yeah,
he got
there's one quote in here. It goes, "You can spend 10 years building a career, and you can ruin it in 3 months." Leeds United, Sam. Leeds United. There it is. Like it wasn't even 3 months. You ruined it in a few weeks for your £500,000.
But he gets there's a sting on his son who he'd signed at various points as a player. He he became an agent. He went to play in China, interestingly enough. But then he became an agent, and then there was kind of a panorama documentary or whatever expose, and and there's kind of I guess allegations or hints maybe that he was making money or whatever. Allardyce was buying players off his son. That's kind of so. I guess this noise about Allardyce and money has always been there, even before he got the England job, right?
Yeah, no kidding. And where do you go to when you're an innocent man accused of something in the press? You go to Max Clifford. Hey, Max. He paid Max Clifford 20 grand a week to rehabilitate his career.
He also says, at the time at the time I was going for the England job, I thought about hiring Max Clifford, but I didn't. However, Steve McLaren did. Oh,
You can
okay.
make magic happen. All right, so we can move on. He went to Newcastle. Cracking on.
Nothing too explosive there, really. We kind of know the story. It's kind of actually his version of it is different than Keegan's. First of all, he claims that he was the one who was bringing in Modric when Keegan said he was the one who was bringing in Modric. At any rate,
Oh,
it didn't happen. But yeah, he was there. It was Freddie Shepherd who brought him in, and then they they got whenever Ashley came along, he got rid of him. That's more or less what happened. But we didn't get anything overly juicy. There was nothing about our good friend Dennis Wise or any of those kind of cast of characters that we've come across before.
you would have thought Ashley and Allardyce would be a match made in heaven, wouldn't you? Really?
I would have thought so too. Yeah.
But anyway, it didn't work out, and the fans absolutely hated him. I think that was probably what was the deciding factor, right? I think Ashley probably could have worked very well with Sam Allardyce, but it's an instant way of getting goodwill from the fans, isn't it? If you're a chairman, just sack Allardyce immediately. Like, oh, he's doing great, brilliant. Get rid of him. So where was it? There was it Blackburn next?
It was Blackburn, and then it was West Ham.
Yeah, Blackburn next. So that's of course when the Venkis, the Indian chicken people, come in. And you can only imagine what Sam Allardyce thinks about having Indian chicken moguls as his
Well,
champion.
he says at one point they said that they want to sign this particular player. He said, What did the chicken people know about this lad?"
This is where he makes one of his lasting enemies, Steve Keane, who he brings in as a coach. Cookie Coleman recommends him. He's embarrassed about it now. He writes out in the book. So yeah, Chris Coleman is very embarrassed at having recommended Steve Keane as a coach because Steve Keane is a little snake who was trying to undermine Allardyce all the time, and he later successfully sues Steve Keane. So do you know what Steve Keane accused him of? Being crooked. Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other thing that he starts the book actually, and he returns when he's at West Ham, is he has a real beef with West Ham away because I guess he thinks Newcastle and West Ham fans are deluded ultimately, and West Ham fans in particular. And he says he had them up in fourth place after he took over when they were in the championship, and they'd be losing a game, and people would be shouting behind his back, "Fuck off up north" or whatever. And he says that West Ham nobody actually knows what the West Ham way is. He's asked everyone. He's asked Harry Redknapp. He doesn't know. He's asked Glenn Roeder. He's asked Alan Kirbishley. None of them know what the West Ham way is.
Ooh, Johnny, ooh. I know what the West Ham way is. We all do. It's like you have a strong academy and you try and play attacking, progressive, passing football, right? That's the West Ham way. Am I right?
I would have guessed that around that, yeah.
Of course it fucking is. We all know what the West Ham way. He's so passive aggressive. He gets really in there. He's like, I'm scratching my head, wondering what do they mean by this West Ham way? I can't work it out. The fans don't see. They do know. Everyone knows. I mean, I know it's a pipe dream. We all dream that. But don't pretend you don't know what the West Ham way is, because I fucking know. Oh, well, here he is, Nostradamus. He goes to West Ham. Oh, soon they're going to be playing in the Olympic Stadium. Their new home will be the envy of the world. No, it won't be. It'll be an absolute white elephant, mate. Absolute disaster. Oh, the other thing. Oh, this was nice. We haven't brought him up yet. Like, I tried to get El Hadj Diouf in at West Ham, but I was warned off him because he'd already spat at some West Ham fans. Yes.
Fans.
Oh, you've blotted your copybook there, old Jiffy. Oh, dear. And I think maybe Ravel Morrison gets the biggest drive-by in all of our autobiography histories, like, because what does he say about Ravel Morrison? Ravel Morrison has absolutely rotten teeth. Fucking hell, Sam. All right, that wasn't necessary.
He also says he's compared to Gaza, which is a bit of an insult to Gaza.
Well, Gaza brushes his fucking teeth, doesn't he? Ravel Morrison has absolutely rotten teeth. I've got to tell you, I do see Ravel Morrison in a whole new way now. It's not that he's a bad boy. He's just a complete fucking useless prick.
We heard this before somewhere else that when he goes when he traveled abroad, maybe he doesn't do it all so much anymore, but he would bring suitcases of noodles and he wouldn't drink the water and stuff. He sounds quite mad. Ravel
Really
Morrison.
does sound mad. Yeah, he does. Yeah, it does make you wonder. Yeah, if you don't brush your teeth. I mean, come on, lad. And why some interesting things very quickly. Footballers are 2 stone heavier now than they used to be because they're made of muscle. And in the old days, they thought muscle slowed you down. Well done, old days, you dummies. Chris Samba had 4 agents. Come on, Chris. 4?
Likes Kevin Nolan, by the way, Nobby.
He certainly does.
He says about 5 times in the book that Nolan was a bad centre half who he turned into a very effective midfielder. He says that repeatedly.
He really was his lieutenant on the field, though, wasn't he? He really was that.
He's the footballing son that Sam Allardyce never had.
Yeah, he packed his son off to China. Off you go. No opportunities for you in England. Off you go to China.
I've got Nobby now. That's kind of it out. I didn't hate this book. I didn't love it. I would give it 3 massive glasses of white wine.
I'm going to leave you with this quote. I think I brought it up before, but I didn't read you the full quote. This is Sam Allardyce in a nutshell. You can build a reputation in 10 years and destroy it in 3 months if you make the wrong choice. Just look at Phil Brown. Poor old Phil Brown. There's a little drive-by for you, lad. I didn't hate this book either. I didn't like it. I'm going to give it 2 pints of red wine. Or is it white wine? It was quite long, wasn't it? I was a bit bored. And there wasn't, apart from Ravel Morrison's teeth, there wasn't that much. I was like, ooh, lovely. But yeah, he gets an extra half star for having a wife called Lynn and making it amusing.
Yeah, there was a partridge element to it. And I like that he kept having little digs at people like Wenger. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, Rafa Benitez, he's winning the
loud.
European Cup. It had nothing to do with him. I think it had something to do with him. He did some things.
Okay, we are back next week with a Christmas draft. That's right. Players somehow connected with Christmas. And we don't really know how.
Yeah, we don't. But we'll find a way. Yeah, we'll litigate it on the day, won't we?
And then we were due to do Keith Gillespie's book, but you're waiting for it out. So unless it comes
I've
in the
still
next
not
few days.
received my keep. Yeah, I've still not received it. So yeah, we will have more information on our new book in the next episode.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Al. That's super. And thanks for listening, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe if you can. That would go a long way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny, and goodbye.
And I suppose in the end we couldn't cope with Long Ball United, it was just thump it forward and see what they could get in the end, and it paid off for him, you know. So coping with that long ball sometimes when you've got a Fellaini up there was difficult for us. It's not how you normally see Man United play, but it got him a point in the end.